Shout out to Sky Bet for sponsoring today's episode.
With Premier League action coming thick and fast this week, now is the perfect time to head over to their app to see their latest offers.
Whether you're eyeing a cheeky acca or building one of your own, they've got you covered.
Acca Freeze, Build a Bet, Super Sub, and so much more.
18 plus terms and conditions apply. BeGambleAware.org. The jewel in the crown of the weekend's football obviously occurred at Stamford Bridge. And off the back of it, what we learned that Chelsea are title contenders. And that is what we learned from this weekend.
Where are you in the out of Arsenal and Man City? You're below Man City in terms of the ranking?
Third favourites for the league. But the difference is, and this is what I've picked up off the back of what we did against Arsenal, which I think was truly brilliant. I really do. I was so impressed with so many things. But one of the things that I picked up from it is that we are capable of winning the league. It's not likely. We're not favourites, but we are capable. And yet, Arsenal should win it. City could win it, but Chelsea are in with a shout.
Do you feel a little bit frustrated by Moises Caicedo getting himself sent off? Because watching the game as a neutral, it felt like Chelsea were in the ascendancy. Chelsea were the ones that were going to win that game 11 against 11.
I agree with what you've said, and it is frustrating that he got sent off because I think if we had kept 11 men on the pitch, we would have won the game. But it's very difficult for me to have a pop at something like that. It would feel very disingenuous for me to have a pop at an over-exuberant tackle when I've been imploring this Chelsea team for years now to demonstrate some of that.
If you think it was a red,
sending off.
Buvey felt like it wasn't a red.
I thought it was a red.
I thought it was somewhere between. I don't think it was as clear cut. You know, when people these days, it really was a moment where I thought, my God, we're all so soft.
Yeah.
We're all so soft because the people kept going like this, wincing at the
By the way,
tackle.
I think it's a yellow. If it's his second yellow, it's a red card. But it's not a straight red.
Mate, it was just a really heavy kick to the shin.
He was clearly going for the ball, right? And Mourinho just was skillful and put it past him. It was one of them things. There was no malice in it. He wasn't out of control, actually. He was just the way he caught him in the modern era. It always ends up with a red card. But you don't want to take that. Like you said, was you a bit frustrated? You never take that away from him. Moses Caicedo, you want him to be that. He went in there and it was almost like he was saying, Rice isn't the daddy on this pitch. I'm the daddy. I'm going to go and show him. But and it was like perhaps an over exuberance, but you never want to take that from his game. It was really unfortunate that he got sent off. But
yeah, I agree. But equally, like I say, it would be bad for me. It would be incredibly poor form for me to go, the idiot. Why is he getting sent off? When I've been desperate for Chelsea now to show some fight, to show.
They did
some
have
winning.
a bit of that about him as well. Cucurella was getting stuck in.
Mate, there was a moment. There were a few
Reece
moments.
James was
the
phenomenal.
second the game kicked off, did you see João Pedro just charge straight head first?
Yeah.
Did you? I don't know if you. I noticed this over the last couple of weeks and months in the Premier League. There's this extra sort of needle that seems to be introduced to the game. There was a bit where Saka was on the floor and Cucurella and I think it might have been Reece James and maybe Chalobah. They're both standing over him.
There was a great moment as well when Enzo Fernandez booted Noni Madueke and celebrated the tackle foul in his face with Cucurella. It was like a great moment. Like, it's a London derby. That's exactly what it should be. Like, it's exactly what it should be. And Reece James was speaking about it, and they sort of asked Reece James about how many bookings there were.
Why was there 9 bookings?
Yeah.
And he said this.
You always feel robbed when you have a game like that and there's not enough bookings. You know, like when you see Liverpool, Man United, or Arsenal, Spurs, and there's like a few players have been booked, and you're like, wait a minute.
It was a great game, and it was. Do you know what else we can take from it? The reason why I think it's a kind of game that signifies Chelsea are in a title shout now, outsiders, but in a title shout, is because everything that we saw on the pitch, definitely, but also an evolution in the manager and the club itself. Like earlier this season, we dropped points embarrassingly to Manchester United because we went down to 10 men. Enzo Moresca's management of Chelsea going down to 10 men was completely incorrect. He basically said in his interview after that moment, he was like, well, once we went down to 10 men, the game was over. Well, like, happened after 5 minutes, mate.
Yeah.
Like,
but against Arsenal, you're down to 10 men.
And we went for the jugular.
And they're whipping in corners. You've left 3 or 4 men at the other end of the pitch.
Yeah.
That's
bravery.
That's bravery. We don't talk about it. We're talking about it now, but I've not seen anything about that on social media or many players talking about it.
When Chelsea went down to 10 men, I just got home and I was like, I'm looking forward to sitting down and watching this. It's going to be a great game. And I'm like, oh God, I've got to turn it off already. I've got to turn it off because Arsenal and actually, out of the two, Chelsea, given their disadvantage, were probably the better team.
Yeah.
Definitely. Higher energy, more ambitious.
And like you say, look, keeping 11 men on the pitch would have seen us win the game, I think. But it almost doesn't matter because we set a tone. We showed that Arsenal are susceptible to aggression. We've shown that there's at least a vulnerability. Like, I can see that they're the best team in the country. But that doesn't mean that they're definitely going to remain the best team in the country for the rest of the league.
They're only, isn't it? Like, they lacked a world-class number 9. You lack a world-class number 9. I think if you had a world-class number 9, you win the game.
Yeah, I agree with that. But look, it was brilliant. There's been an evolution at Chelsea. Enzo Moresca is talking about winning a league title, which is so refreshing. This time last year, he said we can't. And then we ended up getting beat at Portman Road and dropping points to Sean Dyche's Everton and whatever. He's now talking about a team that can win the league. He's becoming a Chelsea manager. We went down to 10 men. You've seen him work out a way to still compete. I think it's very,
Is he
very
winning you
impressive.
over then? Or has he
Yeah,
won you
if he
over?
carries on like this, If he carries on like this, like, I think he's moving in the right direction. There is an evolution. He's changing. And
Would it just be you were wrong at the start?
no, but he was wrong because maybe, I was reacting to what he was doing.
No, I agree. I agreed
Yeah.
with you at the time. So
Yeah.
I'm just asking the question.
When against Manchester United, I was very critical of his conduct in the way that he handled the sending off. But I don't think I was wrong in the criticism. I think that he handled the sending off badly. When he announced, I remember exactly when it was. It was the 23rd of December last year. We had the opportunity to go top of the league. He announced to the world that we are not in a title race. That isn't how you behave at Chelsea. Chelsea are, you know when you get a big club, he was at Leicester before, you get a big club like Chelsea. You have to become a Chelsea manager in the way that Thomas Frank has to become a Tottenham manager. You
He already
cannot
has
say
become a Tottenham manager, some would say.
what you have to do is you can't be the Chelsea manager and go, no, we're not going to win the league. Like earlier this season, at the very beginning of the season,
Rory,
at the
that
very
might be a-
beginning of the season, he was asked about the league title. He basically went like this. Bearing in mind, he's a Chelsea manager. He went, tell you what, Liverpool are going to take some beating. Honestly, he was like, they were the best team in the league last year, and they signed some great
But
players.
Guardiola has done that for years. He's the most arrogant manager probably right now in world football. And the school of thought from Guardiola, obviously Moresca used to work with Guardiola, is reduce any pressure on the players. It's never the
I think when
players'
Pep
fault.
does it, his dressing room
When
knows
you're the
he's
best-
lying.
sorry. You know when Mourinho would say, oh, God, Arsenal should be winning the league. When Mourinho's won back-to-back leagues.
Yeah.
It kind of makes sense. But when Chelsea are the upstart,
You want some ambition.
we're the pretender.
Yeah.
We're the newcomer effectively to the league. We haven't won a league for a long
Yeah,
time.
when Pep does it, you know he's chatting it.
Yeah.
You know he's putting pressure
Like
on the
when
opposition.
Ferguson would
Fergie
when
did it, yeah.
Fergie's won 3 in a row and he goes, they're the team to beat. You're like, wait, what? Whereas when Moresca does it, it's different.
Yeah.
Maybe there's sort of a correlation between what Moresca's saying in the dressing room and what he's saying to the press. You know, with Mourinho, it felt like there was sort of clandestine and skullduggery at all times. How did I use this to benefit Chelsea? But perhaps Moresca's what he says in the press is what he wants his players to hear. And at that time, he believed that they weren't good enough. And with a squad as young as Chelsea's, in Premier League history, the youngest ever. If you manage to win the league from this position, and it sounds like, Rory, that you're starting to believe a little bit, that's unheard of when in the league with that age group. The average age group is around 27, 28 to win a league, typically. What is Chelsea's, 23?
Yeah. Even that Manchester United team that
Maybe
did it, it's
didn't
a
want
bit
to
of
put
a
the
myth,
pressure
isn't
on
it?
these kids.
Like
That's what I'm saying.
they did win the league, but you know the Beckham team that won the league? That came a couple of years later. The reason they won the league the year of you don't win anything with kids, it was because of the kids, but it was also because Cantona and Bruce were in the team.
Yeah.
Whereas this is actually a team of kids.
Yeah, and probably it may be the reason if you look back at football in the Premier League, and it's probably the reason why Chelsea don't do it. But if they do, that is some story.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But you've got a backbone of someone in his prime years, like you were saying about Steve Bruce. Reece James is in his prime years. He's a Champions League winning right back. It's
interesting that you nearly said midfielder.
I nearly said midfielder. I think he's a midfielder.
Is he a midfielder now?
I think he's operating at such a high level in midfield that now Thomas Tuchel's got a real debate on his hands because he's operating at a higher level than Elliot Anderson and Adam Wharton. You know, these are great midfielders. But Reece James is doing
does
better
he not
things.
play in midfield as like that's where he starts on paper, but he does slip into the right.
Yeah,
Once
maybe.
Chelsea
And it
move
becomes a
forward
weird
and
kind of
different
back
things
five
like
in
that.
big games. But Reece James, for me, has to be playing now in midfield for England.
When Reece James against Arsenal, when he took it past Lewis Skelly, and it just drove past it, took the pressure off, and you're thinking, it's something you would see him do it right back, bombing down the right, but he's the control of the situation and his injury issues. But playing in midfield is probably going to save you some hamstrings in the future.
Did you see him take it off Calafiori? That was the one where I just thought, Jesus Christ,
It's also one
men
of the-
against boys.
One of the things that keep, like, I remember when there were Trent Reece James debates, and one of the things that used to get flagged was Trent's so good at delivering the ball into the box, and everything, which obviously he is fantastic at doing. But Reece James' delivery, from free kicks, set
No,
pieces,
it's always
wide
been
end,
that.
There was
It's
been
always
so
been
good.
that. I know.
He's
There was a
always been
moment
better.
last
Always been
season
that,
where he
yeah.
took the ball. It was in Europe, I think, and he's beat his man on the edge of the box and just dinks it over for Cucurella to header.
Yeah, that was against Man United. He beat his man. He spun on the edge of the box and beat his man.
These
Yeah,
essentially
yeah.
two fullbacks combining to do that. Yeah.
No, Reece James. I've been arguing it for a long time. He's a total footballer. Like he's probably, you know that old game where the answer is either Wayne Rooney or Steven Gerrard? Probably Rooney, but who knows? If you had a team of 11 of one player, what team wins the league? And the answer most people would concede is Rooney.
Yeah.
I think in the modern day game, the players that are currently playing, a team of Reece James is probably the best around. Like you've got to think earlier this season, we're playing Liverpool. They were really attacking. They were desperate to get something out of the game at Stamford Bridge. Reece James played centre half with Josh Achiampong and didn't put a foot wrong. That's centre half. Against Arsenal, he's playing against probably the best midfield in the league. In central midfield, he doesn't put a foot wrong. Obviously, at right back,
and he was the best player on the park.
And he was the best player
I
on
think
the
it's
park.
Barcelona who's great.
And the other thing is, we did it with 10 men. He's dominating a midfield when we're down to 10 men. And not just 10 men, by the way. On the scale of having players sent off, you probably go, the best player to have sent off, I don't know, Liam Delap, Malagusto. Like, it was our best player sent off. And he steps into that midfield up against Declan Rice and Zubimendi and gives them an education.
He was better than Declan Rice.
He was better than Declan Rice.
He was better than everyone. On the pitch that day, he was.
But do you know who else was amazing?
Amazing.
Enzo Fernandez.
Oh, Enzo.
Cucurella, no doubt. Cucurella is just a winner, isn't
booking
he?
as well, which he
Got
should
that
have,
early
because he
booking.
won the ball twice.
Yeah.
And he got booked. And
The
he was
referee
like,
trying to
that's
set the
going to change
tone
his
there.
game now.
Yeah. But look, with Enzo Fernandez in this form, Enzo Fernandez against Arsenal, I say this in the most complimentary way, it was the closest thing to a sort of snarling Dennis Wise performance that I've seen at Stamford Bridge for a long time. Maybe SEN. It was like full of hate, full of aggression, full of rivalry, full of everything that you should be full of on a North London derby under the lights at Stamford Bridge approaching December. And Enzo Fernandez putting in a performance like that was a joy to behold. Like, I loved him, and I haven't really loved him since he's been...
You hated him.
Yeah, I haven't. I certainly haven't loved him, but that performance I loved. I loved everything about it. So no, I felt like Reece James playing the way that he did, Moresca doing what he did. It feels to me now that there is a chance.
What's the most important thing for Chelsea to do or have to actually not win it, but proper challenge? Obviously getting the result.
I think, do you know what it is, Adam, is consistency. The reason why we probably don't win the league and why we are a threat in the Cups is because, like, I remember earlier this year when we did our bold predictions, you boys were laughing at me when I said Chelsea in the Champions League.
Yeah.
The reason why that is possible is because on our day we can compete with anyone. The problem is we've already lost at home to Sunderland. We've already lost at home to Brighton. We've already dropped points. We lost at Man United. We lost points to Brentford. We can also do that. So the issue that we have is consistency. But look, with Reece James dominating the way that he is, Enzo Fernandez putting in the performance that he is, Moresca finding answers the way that he is, I think Arsenal are clear favourites for the league and the best team in the country. Man City after that. But then it's us.
You mentioned those points lost, but the narrative around Chelsea has shifted in the last 14 days.
Yeah.
Where people are genuinely talking about them as title challengers now. And that hasn't occurred under Moresca's reign at all. But now, legitimately, people are talking about it. Like, if Man City can't find a way to kick back into gear and, lose silly goals like they did against Leeds, it might be Chelsea who have to compete against Arsenal. And I don't think that's an unlikely thing.
No, and if it ends up being Chelsea versus Arsenal for the league title, which I think Man City is certainly going to be in there. But do you know the last thing Arsenal want? The last thing an Arsenal fan would want, I think, is two going for it. Like they want to isolate Chelsea and try and make it Chelsea versus Arsenal. Yeah. Or even isolate Man City and make it Man City versus Arsenal. It's a spanner in the works for Arsenal for there to be, 6 points between three teams. Like, Arsenal have been the best team in the country by a distance. They have gone on a ridiculous run of late. The last 13 games, they lost once. They've been in exceptional form. Yeah. They are only 5 points clear of Man City.
And Liverpool 9 points off. Liverpool
are 9 points off. No,
but 9 points.
Do you know,
Arsenal should be 15 points clear of Liverpool.
Do you know what? I agree with that. I had a look.
They should be 10 points clear of City. They're not. They've got 5 in the treble-winning season. They were 8 points clear.
Mate, do you know what, Buvey? I had a look at Liverpool's points tally, and I appreciate this is wild, but I'm looking at Chelsea winning the league, so I had a look around at who else could. If you do the maths on it, Liverpool's next run of fixtures, and it's a lot. I'm thinking 7 games. The 8th is Arsenal, but 7 games they should win every game. I swear to you. You look at the fixtures. Yeah. If they find the form, Isak scoring against West Ham. If they find it, they could win 7 in a row. If Liverpool wins 7 in a row, they then play Arsenal. I'm not joking. They're only 9 points.
And Arsenal played for a draw in that game.
How
like
are
they usually do.
How are Arsenal only 5 points clear at the top of the league, considering how brilliant they've been and how bad everyone else has been?
Because they bottled it at Anfield. They'll rue that at the end of the season. The Szoboszlai free
Liverpool
kick.
team that were unbeaten at that point, though.
Yeah, but they had chances in that game and they were negative. They didn't play Eze.
They were negative.